Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the University of Mary on this remarkable day. I'm so very grateful to God that He gave us this vista. So if any of you haven't had an opportunity in the warmth of this room to appreciate the gorgeous view out these windows, please take a few minutes. Sisters of Annunciation Monastery, our prioress, Sister Nicole Kunze, President Emeritus, Sister Thomas Welder, Mayor Bakken, and members of our City Commission, guests, friends of the university, faculty and staff, students, and members of the press, welcome to Mary. I'm Dr. Diane Flaidland, Vice President for Academic Affairs at the university. I'm so very pleased and proud to welcome you here today to the Lumen Vitae University Center in our beautiful Founders Hall. This hall is dedicated to our courageous founders and sponsors, the Benedictine Sisters of Annunciation Monastery. What a glorious day this is. We've gathered to share an incredible success story. We're excited to share it with you and the entire Bismarck-Mandan community and our region. We're privileged today to celebrate this wonderful achievement. We'll also be expressing our deepest gratitude to all of those wonderful friends and donors who have made this day possible. I remember just short of 3 years ago, where I was standing at a different podium on this campus to announce our dreams and plans for a bold campaign for growth. One that was to allow the groundwork for the University of Mary's great step forward. This podium in this beautiful place was just a dream. We drew inspiration from the labor and achievements of our beloved sisters. They forged ahead with the vision that God had called them to build a place of higher learning on this prairie, to serve the people of this region and beyond. Our goal is to make this university and maintain its growth and reputation for excellence in academics, education founded on Christian, Catholic, and Benedictine values, preparing students for the whole of life so they can lead an integrated life in which they can thrive and contribute their talents and gifts to the wider world. Here today, we are to announce the results of the first phase of our three-phase campaign, Vision 2030. And today we are thrilled and filled with gratitude to announce these historic results. At this time, it's my honor to introduce the President of the University of Mary, Monsignor James Patrick Shea. Monsignor was inaugurated in 2009 as the 6th president of the University of Mary. At the age of 34, he was the youngest college or university president in the United States. He succeeded Sister Thomas Welder, who had served as our president for 31 years. The oldest of 8 children, Monsignor Shea grew up on a dairy farm near Hazelton, North Dakota, just 38 miles from the university campus. He began his undergraduate work at Jamestown College, majoring in English and history. He then entered the seminary for the Diocese of Bismarck, earning a bachelor's degree and a pontifical master's degree, a licentiate in philosophy at Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. He studied classical Greek at the University of Texas in Austin, and at the Vatican's North American College, he studied theology at the Gregorian and Lateran universities in Rome. He has studied management at the University of Chicago's Graduate School of Business, and he also is an alumnus of the Institute of Higher Education at the Graduate School of Education at Harvard University. Monsignor Shea has worked with Mother Teresa's Missionaries of Charity at the Gift of Peace AIDS Hospital, while teaching religion at 2 inner-city elementary schools in Washington, D.C. In Rome, he served as chaplain for the Bambino Gesù Children's Hospital. He also, at the Rome campus, worked as the pastor at the Center for Catholic Studies at the University of St. Thomas. Following his ordination to the priesthood in 2002, he returned to North Dakota and served as the associate pastor in Bismarck and Mandan, and during that time was chaplain and instructor at St. Mary's Central High School here in Bismarck. He then served in parishes in Killdeer and Halliday, North Dakota, and taught at Trinity High School in Dickinson. Deeply committed to the education and formation of young people, he has been an inspiration and mentor for so many students. Monsignor Shea is a Knight Commander of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem and serves on the Board of Directors for FOCUS, the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. He has served on the National Advisory Council to the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops and the Governor's Commission on Educational Improvement for the state of North Dakota. Monsignor is a trustee of St. John Vianney Seminary in Denver and is a member of the Executive Committee of the Board of Association of Benedictine Colleges and Universities. Please help me welcome to the podium Monsignor James Shea, President of the University of Mary.
Thanks very much for being here this morning. I want to begin today with a story from the life of St. Ignatius of Loyola. St. Ignatius was not a Benedictine, although he owed very much to the Benedictine community at the Abbey of Montserrat, just outside of Barcelona. He was the founder of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, who then went on to found many great institutions of higher learning in this country, places like Georgetown and Fordham and Loyola and Gonzaga, places which, until we came onto the scene here in Bismarck, were some of the nation's great Catholic universities. Once when he was speaking to a small group of his earliest followers, he asked them a question. He said, if God were to say to you, I could take you today, and you would be assured of everlasting glory. Or I could leave you where you are, with no guarantees. If you thought that by remaining, you could do some great thing for him, how would you answer? James Linez, who would later go on to be Ignatius's successor as general of the order, said that he would choose the first option so that he could be safe and secure. And Ignatius said, as for myself, I would not. If I thought that remaining where I was, I could do something great for him, I would beg God to leave me just where I was, so that I would have a chance to do it. I would look to him and not to myself. And I would give no heed to my safety or to my danger. Dear friends, I want to take you back just a little bit to the planning process for Vision 2030, Education for Life, that the University of Mary engaged in a few years ago. Many of you were involved in that process, where we gathered hundreds from throughout our community and throughout our region to take stock of the times in which we found ourselves and to ask if we could do something great. We knew that Mary College from 1959 and the University of Mary since had already made significant contributions to the religious, cultural, and academic needs of the people in our region. But we knew that times were changing. There was a lot happening in the landscape, and we felt the duty to ask ourselves if we could do yet more. If there was a new chapter dawning upon us, a page which we were being asked to turn. And that by remaining here, and by remaining true to our founding mission, but also bringing all the energy and creativity of a forward-thinking mindset, of an attitude of renewal and abundance and gratitude, whether the university could break onto the scene in a way yet more prominent, contributive, whether we could serve in a deeper way, and whether we could pour ourselves out yet more in service to students, which is the reason we exist. That process brought about, as you know, Vision 2030, Education for Life, which was a sweeping new strategic plan for the University of Mary. There we said that we would provide a kind of environment which was shot through with radiance and life, so that a heartbroken and weary world would meet our graduates, and when they met them, they would say in astonishment, "There is a brightness in them." We said that we would do it by focusing on distinction, service, and relationships. And out of those three themes to which we wanted to recommit ourselves in a significant way grew a number of initiatives which we set out to accomplish, many of which have taken flesh in the years since. So a walk down memory lane. We said that these initiatives, deeply rooted in mission, would be for us. The erection of centers of distinction, a school of engineering, faculty formation and development, religious literacy for our students, so they could better face a world becoming at the same time more increasingly secular and more radically religious. The integration of athletics with a true vision of virtue and sport. A new campus center, a hub of campus, a hearth and home for our students. A new field house and wellness center. Additional student housing, infrastructure, and IT needs. The expansion of our operations in Arizona. A Marian Grotto, which was first discussed in the Campus Expansion Subcommittee of Vision 2030. Our day of service. The growth of University of Mary worldwide. A student success center. And a culture of clear identity and gracious hospitality. Those were the initiatives that we set out at the beginning to accomplish. Many more, which I did not list, are yet to be done. But we knew from the very beginning, everybody, we knew the old time-honored truth that vision without resources is hallucination. Therefore, we announced at the end of 2015 a massive capital campaign to support Vision 2030 with a Phase 1 goal of $96 million. Dear friends, it is now my honor to announce publicly that the University of Mary has successfully completed Phase 1 of our Vision 2030 capital campaign. There's more, but I have to jabber a bunch first before we get to it. It's significant to note that we were just down in Arizona with our Board of Trustees on Friday to inform them of this, and we met in the very room in Old Main at Arizona State University where the Vision 2030 strategic plan was approved by the board. I remember that day, and I'll never forget it all through my life. It was, if I might say, the very kind of decisive moment which is emblematic of the University of Mary from even before our founding. The virtue of prudence, a much harder virtue to understand and to master than some people think, has always been a special gift to us. The sisters in the university are not and have never been by character, by habit of mind, reckless. I like to say that the University of Mary was built on a tremendous combination of risk and thrift. At the same time, we aspire to be women and men of great soul, of high aspiration, of obedience in the true Benedictine sense of that word, who rise to the challenges of our times, who answer from our hearts with a kind of generosity which some indeed would call reckless, or at least heedless of self-interest or of fear, who are perceptive and honorable and humane in our every discernment. who are successful not because we're talented, but because we persevere. In the manner of Benedictine stability and mutual devotion, we have grit, and we stay the course, and that's why we do what we say we're going to do. Because we carry within us, however dim or flickering at times, what the rule of St. Benedict calls good zeal, the good zeal which leads not to bitterness or deception or destruction, but which leads to life. We asked ourselves in Vision 2030 how we might, in new and developing circumstances, best serve our region and beyond, in accordance with our mission. In those days, the price of oil was more than $100 a barrel. The landscape of North Dakota was a great gathering of high anxieties and high enthusiasms. We were struggling mightily as an employer to attract and retain both hourly employees and executive leadership. And we were just coming onto the national scene in a resonant way as the nation's most affordable, serious Catholic university. We couldn't see the future. The future was hidden from our eyes, as it always is. As it always is. We didn't know that soon after we had formulated the plan and announced it publicly, the price of oil would plunge. There was so much we couldn't see. But we had tested, in a proper way, a calling within our hearts. And so our courage as a result, our bravery in the face of it was undaunted. We did a feasibility study. Our feasibility study, which was conducted when everything was booming, recommended a phase 1 goal in the range of $72 million. But there was a variable in the calculations to say that, although perhaps we should be hesitant to publish something too ambitious. I'm looking at some of our public relations people here today. If everything went perfectly, they said, if everything went perfectly, we might be able to hit $96 million. If we were to accomplish that, if we were to do that thing there, it would be by far the largest campaign for any charitable cause ever completed in our part of the world. We were pacing ourselves against institutions and organizations much older and larger than we were, in areas of our region and country where the population base is larger and less rural. The University of Mary, remember everybody, the University of Mary is still relatively young. Our exponential growth is in some ways recent. We have 22,000 alumni, and they're largely in service professions. And so you see, what we were setting out to do was a very bold thing. It was a bold thing we set out to do, and we knew that both the peril and the promise were very real. I was once told the story of a young father who lived with his young son in rural France at the time of the First World War. His wife had perished in childbirth, and so this little boy that he had was the only family, the only one he had in all the world. What he didn't realize was 2 great armies were converging right upon the small wooded plain where they lived. He awoke in the middle of the night to bombing and to gunfire on all sides. Terror gripped his heart. He woke his son and they fled into the night. He was hopeful. He was hopeful that maybe they could reach a deep, dry well where he thought they might be safe. When they saw the well and came to it, he jumped in, breaking his ankle in the fall. Then he turned around and he looked up and called out to his son, "Son, jump! Jump now! I'll catch you." But the small boy was frozen. He was sobbing as the glare of the bombing lit him from behind. So the father repeated with greater urgency, "Son, jump! You've got to jump now!" But the son repeated, "But Dad, I can't see anything. I can't see you." And the father responded, "It doesn't matter. I can see you. Jump. And he caught his son in the night. In this capital campaign, in Vision 2030, Education for Life, we jumped. We couldn't see, but we jumped into arms strong and sure. And along the way, we've learned a lot about the interpersonal dynamics of trust and dependence on each other. We've been steadfast even when the going has been rough. And we have something to place before all of you today. It's something we all accomplished together. It's an accomplishment, to be frank, it's an accomplishment so much smaller and of less consequence than getting on a westward train for Dakota Territory in 1878, the way our founding sisters did. Smaller than that. But this thing, it was for us to do. It was for us to do. It was what we said we would do. It was what you trusted us to do. And so I'm going to bring Jerome Richter up here in just a moment to announce the final numbers for Phase 1 of Vision 2030. And that's probably when you should cheer. I'm happy to announce before that we've seen phenomenal participation from our community. I want to say a word of thanks to Bismarck-Mandan and to the surrounding region for the way that you've rallied behind us and around us in the midst of all of this. I want to thank donors and benefactors near and far from all throughout our region, our state, from all throughout this country, most of whom before Vision 2030 was launched had never heard of us before, but who have come to believe in us deeply and who have lavished support upon us in ways that we never could have prayed for or expected. I want to thank those of you in this room, especially members of the campaign cabinet who have helped us in strategy and planning, in groundwork and beating the bushes, trying to achieve what we've done. I'm happy to say as well that we had 100% participation from our Board of Trustees. And support from our trustees is so very important. As of this morning, we've reached 87% participation from the faculty and staff of the University of Mary, which is a level of support unprecedented, unheard of in campaigns of universities and colleges for growth. More than 360 employees have given to this campaign. And we have whole departments and schools at 100% giving. And I know some of you are here, and so I just want to say the Gary Tharaldson School of Business is at 100%. The Lifrig Family School of Education and Behavioral Sciences is at 100%. The School of Health Sciences is at 100%. The departments of theology, music, philosophy, biology, public affairs, mission advancement, university ministry, the Office of the President, the Office of Academic Affairs, our whole physical plant. The whole physical plan is at 100%. The library, financial aid, and the bookstore. We've seen extraordinary support internal to the university as well because the people who work for us love our students and believe in what we do. Jerome Richter, the Vice President for Public Affairs of the university, has led this effort, the implementation of Vision 2030, and our capital campaign to support Education for Life. I want to tell you this, he has led a great team, and he's gathered volunteers and supporters from 1,000 corners of our world. But I want to say without equivocation that without Jerome Richter's tireless and loyal determination and labors, we would be nowhere. And to him, to Jerry Richter, goes the honor of sharing some thoughts, recounting some real-life stories to fill out the extraordinary humanity of this effort. And then the big moment, he'll reveal to you the good news. Jerome Richter.
Monsignor, thank you for your kind words. Sisters of Annunciation Monastery, thank you for being here, for being our sponsors, our founders. Your prayers, we know, are with us every day. I want to address not all of our dear friends, benefactors, city commissioners, the good mayor. I want to take a moment to address our students. Students, I'm so proud to see so many of you here. So many of you here. And I want you to know, from this day forward, there are people you will never meet that love you. There are people that you will never meet that gave hard-earned dollars for your future. And to make it just a touch more real, I got to tell some of their stories. And so if you draw your attention to the screen, I want to give you a few facts and then show you some of these faces so that you can remember them in prayer. Everyone, go ahead and Austin and just go all the bullet points down. Very quickly, we know that nothing happens without our friends and benefactors. The sisters taught us this from the very, very start. Without our friends, the community, Bismarck, man, and the region, the University of Mary can't do anything. And so our thanks is to them, and know that you're in our prayers. 7,500 people, more than 7,500 people, gave to this campaign. Remember, we have 22,000 alumni in our very history. So nearing half of the entire population that this fine university has educated have given. But the most important thing is my third bullet point there. Every single gift that was given to this campaign, over that 7,500, was given by a real person, or a real couple, or a real institution. And they have other things that they could have done with their money. The last major gift that we received to finish off this campaign for $1 million, the gentleman looked at me and said, in the last 3 weeks, I've had 5 different places come and ask me for money. For $1 million plus. They were thinking of you, students. And I mean it. Because I shared what you guys are doing. I shared what this institution is doing. And they believe in this mission. And they've given hard-earned dollars to do that. And as Monsignor mentioned, to our knowledge, this is the largest capital campaign in the history of Western North Dakota. And you're going to see why in just a second. Go ahead, Austin. The first couple, look at these two beautiful and wonderful people. Joe is right now in heaven praying for you. 3 years ago, Joe and Helen gave their first $250,000 gift. A year and a half ago, they gave another $250,000 gift. Students, Joe and Helen did not have running water in their home until 1978. 1978. They raised 8 kids. Helen, at the age of 64, would get up 3 times a night to go and check cows and stuff like this. I said, Joe, why are you doing this? Because the University of Mary is our hope. It is producing the young people that we need, and it's passing on the faith. That's why we're doing this. I had the great privilege, as you can see, to take these two along with a few other people to Washington, D.C. when Pope Francis came. They were like 2 young school kids. The first time that they'd ever been to D.C., the first time that they'd ever seen the Pope in person. Joe passed away, and Helen is still praying for us. Go ahead, Austin. Jane Singer and Pius Singer. Jane, as you can see her beautiful picture, goes back into the 50s when she graduated from the College of Nursing at St. Alexis. Before the University of Mary existed, the sisters were already educating their nurses and their teachers, and this is where she received her degree and her training as a nurse. Pius lost his lovely wife, Jane, and about 2 years ago called us up and said, Jane loved the sisters, loved what the University of Mary is doing, and I want to start $1 million scholarship in her honor. Everyone, I am ashamed to admit this. We don't even have a picture of Pius. I never got to shake his hand because he lives in Nebraska. He lived in Nebraska and passed away a few months ago. $1 million to train nurses to pass on that care and concern that we know. Go ahead, Austin. Andrew Schindler. Some of you might even know him. Graduated 2 years ago. He's now an admissions rep for us out in the cities. The youngest President's Club member. He graduated 1 year. Became a President's Club member. Students. You're going to graduate someday. We need you. I said, Andrew, you're giving $500 a year. Absolutely. If I can give back to what was given to me, that's the least I can do. Very proud of Andrew. Go ahead. Dr. Evaldo and Sonia Lenardi. Dr. Evaldo was born in Italy, 1948, shortly after World War II. His dad died when he was young. His mom raised him in poverty. He said, I hated coming late to church because, like all good Catholics, the first ones sit in the back and then you have to fill to the front. And when you knelt down, everybody behind me could see the holes in my shoes. He immigrated to the United States, put himself through night school to learn English, put himself through community college by working at Big Boy. Then he got a job at a factory as an electrician and is a heart surgeon. We all could learn a lot from Dr. Evaldo about persistence and faith. They gave $1 million and some to a scholarship called the Joie de Vie Scholarship, the joy of living. And that's what we should have. Go ahead. A. Kirk Lannerman and his lovely wife Janet. Those of you in the School of Business, you pass by his name every day. He loves you because he has given a lot. Fought in the Korean War. Should have been dead multiple times. Came home and was the CEO of Holland America. Gone from Bismarck, Mandan for almost 40 years until he met our lovely sister Thomas Welder and fell in love with this place, and he hasn't stopped supporting us and caring about us. Pray for him. He's sick right now. Go ahead. And then to Dan and Heather Butler. Everyone, our board chair and his wife Heather, who is the co-chair of this campaign, have done amazing things for us. They have given and they have given and they gave again at the very end of this year through a matching gift. Because of their generosity, they said, we will match every dollar up to $2 million, but our dollars will follow the other donor. So if I wanted to give to the Richter Family Scholarship, they would put their money into the same place. Within a few weeks, we hit $2 million. I said, would you do another 2? Sure. We got it to $3.6 million. And that is why we've crossed this line. And so when you pass Butler Auditorium, the Butler Center, Butler Hall, remember the Butlers, because they have been nothing short of tremendous to us and amazing in this campaign. And now, everyone, it is my privilege to shut my big yapper and let you watch a video about what we've accomplished and where we're at. Go ahead, guys. Thank you.
Distinction, service, and relationships have been part of our lifeblood from the very beginning. But as we look at the challenge that we face today, we know that we have to step it up. We know that there's need for the University of Mary to do yet more in service, and we're eager to do it. We, within our hearts, deeply believe that our students are worthy of great and noble and mighty things. Though our culture and our nation is at a time of crossroads, these are the times for which you and I were created. We were given the gifts and the possibilities in order to meet these challenges.
When the sisters founded the University of Mary back in 1959, they could not have imagined what the campus would look like in 2016 or the tremendous effect that it would have on so many students. The sisters moved forward with faith and trust in God and in collaboration with others who supported our Ministry of Education.
there is such a need for engineers. Engineers who are not simply well-trained technically, but who are culturally prepared for the workplace. We've known for a long time that we've needed a facility like this. We've dreamed about it. We've planned for it. We've talked about it. We've prayed for it. We've prayed for it. We've asked the Lord to guide us with His wisdom, to know how to construct and what to do to build a living room for our students and indeed for our whole campus community and for the Bismarck-Mandan community and the surrounding region when they visit this campus. Right here at the center, at the umbilicum of our campus, right here at the crossroads, we'll have a beautiful facility that will welcome students and others in and make their lives here more meaningful.
Everyone, $100 million. Please clap again. Please. Almost $101 million for you. It is absolutely amazing for me to think back, as Monsignor did, to the beginning. But to be able to be with these people and to see how much they believe in this mission gives me great encouragement. And I hope it does to you as well. $101 million is a lot of them because they believe in us. And it would not be without great leaders for this to happen. And the one person who has the most responsibility for this success is the one who just shared his heart with you, who has been leading us, following in the great footsteps of Sister Thomas Welder, and that is our president, Monsignor Shea, and we need to thank him right now. Thank you. There's also other leaders that we need to thank that couldn't be with us and that want to thank you. I had two wonderful co-chairs for this campaign, Vision 2030. One, I already talked about, Heather Butler, the wife of our chair and the first alumnus chair of our board, Dan Butler. And then also Senator Kevin Cramer, who worked in the Office of Mission Advancement here at the University of Mary, an alumni of the university as well. And so we have a video that they wanted to address to you. Since they couldn't be here, they wanted to at least send you this video.
Hi, I'm Kevin Cramer.
And I'm Heather Butler. As you know, Kevin and I are not only proud alumni of the University of Mary, but also co-chairs of its record-setting Vision 2030 capital campaign.
And what an historic moment this is for all of us. Not only did we meet our Phase 1 goal of $96 million, but we far exceeded it thanks to all of you, our benefactors, fellow alumni, faculty and staff, students and friends of this great university.
Wow, what an achievement. You helped us exceed over $100 million in just over 3.5 years. Now that's worth celebrating.
This wasn't easy. Nothing important, pioneering, and life-giving ever is easy. Volunteers and staff knocked on your doors and rang your phones. We sat at your tables and broke bread together. We made time and financial sacrifices together. And in the end, we all came together, sharing a common vision for what the future should hold for Mary.
And that can-do spirit is part of our heritage and has been ingrained in all of us by our pioneering founders, the Benedictine Sisters of Annunciation Monastery, carried forward by our past presidents, and now made even more clear and shepherded by President Monsignor James Shea.
250,000 square feet of new campus space created because of your kindness and generosity. A new Roars Hall residence for women. A new multi-million-dollar field house and wellness center. A new permanent landmark for the Gift Hill Cross honoring our beginning. A new grotto for students and visitors in honor of the university's namesake, the Mother of Jesus, and a new state-of-the-art Lumen Vitae University Center, the bustling hub of campus life.
But it's more than bricks and mortar. It's about believing in our mission, serving the religious, academic, and cultural needs of the people in this region and beyond. It's about renewing higher education and transforming lives. It's about serving God and neighbor. My husband Dan and I and our entire Butler family believe in the mission and the commitment of the university and its students for the values of respect, hospitality, and service to others in the pursuit of truth. This is why we give.
You know, in our travels, my wife Chris and I have seen the challenges university students face, with moral and cultural headwinds challenging time-honored values. At the University of Mary, we have the privilege of helping nurture a culture based on gospel values and principles of patriotism and good citizenship, with an academic rigor second to none that is foundational to our students' education for the whole of life. That's why we give.
The role of the University of Mary is not only essential to the future of our state, but also our country, and all of us play a significant role in its journey towards national prominence and distinction as we navigate its course to the year 2030. We are faithfully Christian, joyfully Catholic, and gratefully Benedictine.
We are just beginning. This is our time.
It has been an honor and a privilege to serve all of you in this role.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. God bless you, and God bless the University of Mary.
It's been quite a ride to be able to hear these wonderful people that are all in support of what is happening here at the university. And I hope it's an opportunity for the students here to sit back and understand why we are the most affordable private Catholic school in the country. It doesn't just happen. It's because of the sacrifice and love of so many people that are making this possible for your dream and for all of ours. At this time, I'm happy to take questions, not necessarily personally, but for a lot of the people that you've been able to hear from today. And so we'd open the session up for questions to Monsignor Jerome, who just escaped, and I'll make him come back, and anyone else who perhaps would be able to answer. Questions from the audience?
I think Jerome just took a significant call, and then he's going on radio, and so you're stuck with me. If you have questions, it's just me. We also accept complaints and insults. Yes, Mr. Mayor. Absolutely. First, we're going to take a nap. Right, and so as you know, Vision 2030 is a $272 million capital campaign in 3 phases, and the first phase was $96 million. And so what we're doing now is we are taking stock. We're going to pause for just a bit. We have to look carefully at, I've got it back here, at Vision 2030, at our roadmap. In other words, we need to say, okay, what did we accomplish that we said we were going to accomplish? How did we do it? And is there what are the priorities going into the future? Our board and the sisters expect that we're going to do what we said we were going to do, and so we need to have the discipline, but also the creativity to continue to implement the strategic plan, and so we'll do that. My sense is that what we'll do is we'll probably identify the first priorities in phase 2. Then we'll quietly, you know, most capital campaigns have a quiet phase. And so what we'll do then is we'll enter into the quiet phase for phase 2 to begin to rally support around those key objectives and initiatives. And we have to test the water with donors as well. A lot of people and a lot of businesses are in pledges already. You know what I mean? And so it's not great form to go back to them while they're in the middle of a pledge. And so we need to be sensitive to all of that. And so I think what we'll do is you should look sometime in the coming months for an announcement of Phase 2, but we need to do a little bit of taking stock first. And also, everybody's just a little bit weary, and so I think we might, have a glass of champagne and sit down for 10 minutes. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks for being here today. Well, everybody, $100 million is a landmark accomplishment, and it's something that we're very grateful for. I want to say this, there's no way we could have done it on our own steam. We don't have the talent, the wherewithal, and the smarts to be able to raise $100 million, but we've been blessed along the way, and we're grateful for that support, and we're grateful for all of you, to our students especially. God bless you, and know that lots of people care about you, and they put their money where their mouth is. And the Lord, too, blesses us in ways which are unspeakable, which we can't even put into words, and which we have to be grateful for all through the course of our lives. God bless you all. Mary loves you. Thanks for being here today.